Hello everyone, I'm Pax and Chats, and this is a custom dungeon crawling game I made with Magic the Gathering cards. Originally I made it for my friends, and this is a bit of a tutorial for everyone, but in particular Dan, Sam, and Ray. Anyway, let's get into it. So, this is an MTG dungeon crawler, a co-op dungeon crawler built using Magic cards. We're all in the same team, but we're playing against the dungeon. The goal is simple: clear 6 floors of increasing difficulty, then defeat the boss on floor 7. If the party gets wiped, you get pushed back and you have to fight your way forward again. There are 3 players, each with a different class. You either pick warrior, assassin, or mage. They have to be a different colour, so watch out for who picks what. You each get a small colour match deck that matches the colour you picked, and every card is instant speed only. You draw 1 card at the start before you enter the dungeon, and you don't draw again unless a card or a clue lets you. Importantly, each player starts with only 1 mana. Mana is not shared at the start. The only way to increase your mana long term is through gem enhancements. I'll talk more about that later. Instead of individual life totals, use 1d20 as the party's shared health pool. If that die ever hits 0, the whole party dies. When that happens, you go back a floor. For each floor you retreat, you heal 5 health. If you go back 4 floors, you're back to full health. Every room has a room gem. That acts as the enemy player for targeting purposes. When you enter a room, you roll a die and give the gem a random colour. They're the 5 magic colours, and it gains protection from that colour. The monsters don't get that protection, only the gem does. The gem has its own health total, based on the floor you're on. To clear the room, you've got to reduce the gem to 0. Simple. But here's a key mechanic. Monsters draw their life from the gem, so when they're resummoned after they die, its toughness is paid from the gem's health. Even if the room's gem doesn't have enough health left, it will attempt to resummon the creature inside, instantly ending the room. Combat mostly works like Magic, but with a few important twists. First, toughness does not automatically heal. If something takes damage, it stays damaged. To heal toughness, both players and the creatures inside the rooms must pay health from the shared health pool. For the players, that's the d20, and for the creatures, it's their health gem. Players can choose to heal on their upkeep. Monsters, however, must heal. If an equipment or counters increase your toughness, you have to heal that extra toughness too. Temporary buffs though, like until end of turn effects, don't count. If a creature hits 0 toughness during combat, but it's healed by lifelink or similar effect, in that same damage event it doesn't die, and it doesn't need to be resummoned or gain summoning sickness because of that. It's the same for players too. When we attack, we always attack the room gem. It's like the enemy player. Monsters block automatically, following a strict priority rule. The highest attack hero is blocked first, the second monster blocks the second highest attack hero, and so on. If there's ever a tie in power, or a true 50-50, you roll a dice. The dungeon also sets a face down power card each turn. Once blockers are declared, those flip over, and the stat works exactly the same as in Magic. Once a room is cleared, each player picks 1 reward. Rewards fall into 3 types: loot, things like clues, food, or treasure tokens. You can pick treasure, equipment, like swords, shields, or staffs, and finally, gem enhancements, permanent buffs, or extra mana cards. Equipment gets stronger as floors go up. Normally you can carry 1 piece of equipment, unless a buff says otherwise. On floor 7 you fight the boss. It works like a room gem, but with extra mechanics you'll need to adapt to. That's the core of the game. Once you've played 1 room, everything clicks really fast. Let's look at an example turn. Okay, so we're going to imagine that this is a mid-tier floor in the dungeon. I've set the health of the room to 6, which is about right, but a little bit lower than you'd expect at this level of difficulty. The 3 heroes have been selected. For the assassin, Deadeye Duelist, which can, for 1 mana, tap and do 1 damage to target opponents, so target gem. Then there's Brawl, Chief of Compliance. Pretty great hero because instant sorcery spells cast 1 less to cast, which means that Brawl doesn't need to rely as much on gaining mana from the gem enhancement rewards. Then we got Dwarf Hold Champion, which is a great warrior class. As long as Dwarf Hold Champion's equipped, it gets 0+2, which is really good for equipment. And in this scenario, speaking of equipment, Dwarf Hold Champion is equipped with a short sword. Equipped creature gets 1/1, and it's a 1 mana equip. So, one thing that's important to remember is that each player starts off with 1 mana. Any colour works with any colour in this game, so it doesn't matter all that much. I'm going to play as Baral. and the other two players, I'll just imagine that I have friends and that they're doing the combat with me. I have in my hand, my one card that I drew, is a counterspell. Now with Baral, it's an instant, so it's actually only 1 mana to cast this counterspell. Now, when I enter the room creatures summon, the first summon obviously doesn't pull from the gem. This is quite a medium high tier room, and normally the health of the creatures, of the room would be higher. We've got a 2-2 and a 2-1. The creatures have their upkeep first. They have a face down power card. It would then pass to the player's turn. This is where, for example, Dwarfhold Champion in the main phase 1 would pay 1 mana and equip the short sword. If Dwarfhold Champion died, they'd have to pay the mana again to re-equip the short sword. But now Dwarfhold Champion is a 4-2, but with the effect is now actually a 4-4. 4-4, we've got a 1-3 and a 1-3. Usually the strategy would be, sometimes, for all players to declare attacks on the gem for 6. We've got 4, 1 and 1. So in total we have enough damage to kill the gem if the creatures didn't block, but they do. So the highest, most powerful creature goes first, so we've got the 2-2. The 2-2 will block the one with the highest power. So the zombie will block the Dwarfhold Champion. But then the next highest power is what comes next. Because both of these heroes have 1 power, you just have to do a dice roll. So I'm going to say even. I'm even, so Baral is going to block this spider. Anything that's 50-50 is done with a dice roll. Dead-Eye Duelist, that means, is guaranteed to hit that gem for 1 and reduce it down to 5. Combat begins and the blockers have been declared. Now, I'm going to flip over the card. The power card was Berserk. Cast this spell before combat damage step. Target creature, which would be this zombie, gains plus X until end of turn, where X is its power. So now the zombie is a 4-2. This means that Dwarfhold Champion is going to die. What that then will mean is that Dwarfhold Champion will have to heal back the toughness that it's gained to be able to be resurrected again. So I don't want that to happen. So what I might do is play 1 mana as Baral and play my counterspell, which would nullify just like normal magic in the stack. Dwarfhold Champion would be a 4-4, would take only 2 damage, killing the zombie. And then Baral would kill the 2-1 spider, because it's got 1 power, killing the spider, taking 2 damage. In total, the party has taken 4 damage. That means to heal on the upkeep, what we would do is take 4 from our gem. So we're on 13, so we'd go down to 9. That's our shared health. And that would mean that on the upkeep, we all heal back up and come back strong. The gem, this would be done typically before the room starts. But I roll a 5-sided die. 1, 2, 3, 4. The gem would have had protection from green. Not an issue for our party. That's quite lucky. What would have been an issue is if it had protection from red, because that's the only one that did direct damage to the gem. Now the creatures, hypothetically, after a couple of turns of combat have been killed, the gem goes to 0 and the creatures go. The gem, or a treasure chest, or loot can be chosen. Either loot the chest for a piece of Ranger's Longbow. Nice, gives me reach against creatures with flying. I might loot the gem for an power enhancement, an extra mana, or a power card. Gambler's Charm, reroll any 1 treasure per room. Or loot, either a clue, treasure, or a food token. Treasures can be used just like treasure in Magic, 1 mana. I'm going to say that the red would have gone for the treasure, and maybe blue would have gone for the power-up. However, there is no restriction on what you pick. 3 loots taken, which would roll treasure, treasure, and food. The players would pick and swap amongst them. The other things that can't be swapped are lands and the power-ups, so the gem enhancements. Everything else, if it's physical equipment, can be swapped and traded before the next room. And there you go. It's fun, it's addictive. Give it a try.